One thing that's essential to any successful United side is a good captain. Someone who leads by example, Mr. Reliable. A person that everyone in the dressing room, even with differing personalities, can look up to and follow. Martin Buchan is one such captain, a true legend of the club. The Rolls Royce of United defenders, cool on the ball, almost an ever-present for over a decade, and as consistent as they come. It's just his bad luck that his time at Old Trafford was in an era of mediocrity and transition. Had Martin Buchan played in a Fergie or Busby side, he would have had a slew of medals. He could slip into any United team in any era. He was that good. Martin McLean Buchan was born on the 6th of March 1949 in Aberdeen. His father Martin Sr. had guested for the local club during the war, and at the age of 16 the young Martin carried on this family tradition, which was also honoured by his brother George and would be in turn in the future by his son Jamie. With the old firm dominating the era as usual, it was hard to earn winners' medals in Scotland unless you were playing for either of these two Scottish giants. But Martin, as with other famous Red Devils who came after him, bucked that trend. He captained Aberdeen to a famous win over Jock Stein's Celtic in the 1970 Scottish Cup final. Martin Buchan was an exceptional defender with tremendous pace, which got him out of plenty of scrapes. He wasn't the biggest of centre-backs, standing at just 5 foot 10 inches. Possibly a good reason why he didn't get the kind of goal hauls enjoyed by the likes of Steve Bruce or Gary Pallister. However, along with his many other attributes, the Scotsman was also a great battler and reader of the game, which would help him greatly in the next big challenge of his career, moving south of the border to Manchester United. A struggling United signed Martin Buchan for £120,000 on the 29th of February 1972. Whilst there were still the likes of Best Law and Charlton at Old Trafford at that time, the side was on the wane, and the regime under manager Frank O'Farrell was one where the enthusiasm of playing football had been somewhat sucked out of the dressing room. It was going to get worse before it got better for Buchan and the club, as the arrival of Tommy Docherty wasn't the initial salvation the board and the fans hoped for. Even if he just about saved us from the drop in 1972-73, in the following season we weren't going to be so lucky. The culmination of years of decay came to the fore by the end of the season, with the club's first and only relegation since the 1930s. In that campaign, Docherty had played Martin in a natural position at full back, which he didn't seem to enjoy very much, but as a measure of the man, he didn't complain. He just got on with his job, as was his disciplined character. It was at this time that Martin Buchan was also becoming a key player in the Scottish national team and competed in the 1974 World Cup in West Germany, playing alongside fellow Red Devils Big Jim Holton in the centre of the side's defence and Willie Morgan, who I'm guessing was on the wing. The Scots earned 2 draws against Brazil and Yugoslavia in the tournament. He then captained Scotland on a couple of occasions in the following years. Martin had made his debut against Portugal several years before in 1971, and not only was he included in the 74 tournament squad, but also made the 78 finals in Argentina. He played in all 3 group matches in South America, the humiliations against Peru and Iran, as well as the epic triumph against the Netherlands. However, that year saw the last of his international caps. He earned 34 in all. Back to United in August 74. Now without the Holy Trinity, the side that got United back up at the first attempt by 3 points from second place Villa was the nucleus of the squad that would pretty much serve the Red Devils for the rest of the decade, and in some cases way beyond. The likes of Albiston, Macari, McElroy, Pearson, Coppell and so on. The Docks' travelling Red Army made the club the best supported side home and away, not only in the second division but when compared to the top flight too. It was also at this time that Martin Buchan, at the age of 26, took the captaincy of the club after the shock departure of Stretford End favourite Willie Morgan. It was a great appointment by the manager, having such a disciplined, consistent centre-back as the leader on the pitch. It seemed to work a treat, as United's first season back was mesmeric, with the quality of attacking go-for-broke football being as entertaining as ever, as well as it almost winning the club the league title. United ended up third behind a fantastic QPR side that year, who were runners-up, and Liverpool, who became champions in the 75-76 campaign. The world is full of ifs and buts, but if United had won at Anfield and got a point at Loftus Road, they'd have been champions. That said, what hurt more was that year's FA Cup final. There was a little too much complacency and a bit of conceit from the Docks youngsters as they came up against second division Southampton in the end-of-season Wembley showpiece. Chances weren't taken in the first half, and the game seemed to have petered out until Red Devil, now Saint, Jim McCalliog, sent in a lofted through ball to Bobby Stokes, who looked more than a tad offside. He hit the ball first time, beating the hapless Alex Stepney, who probably should have done better, but that was enough to take the famous old trophy back to the South Coast for the first time in their history. The final, toughest thing to take was this novelty single, written and sung by the great man. Here's a few bars from it.
Just wrote a new song, gonna sing it through, about the team I played for. It's always in the news.
Well, that's enough of that. I've put a link in the description if for some reason you want to hear the whole thing. Losing the cup final that year was a bitter blow. Tears were shed by fans and players alike, with the Dock vowing to come back the following year and win it. The wily old Scot was true to his word, and the boys made it to Wembley for the second consecutive season, this time as underdogs themselves, as they were up against recently crowned champions again Liverpool, who were aiming for the treble, with the FA Cup as a second part of that three-pronged assault, culminating in the European Cup final. It was an unremarkable game apart from a 5-minute spell just 6 minutes into the second half. Pancho Pearson opened the scoring from a Jimmy Greenough header on, only for Jimmy Case to equalise for the Scousers 2 minutes later, when again Alex Stepney was caught flat-footed. However, his blushes were saved this time around as Lou Macari, who got the better of Tommy Smith, cannoned a wayward shot of Jimmy Greenoug's chest for the winner. It was the highlight of a very strange decade for United, one of transition, many lows and few highs. Buchan was one of the most consistent things about that decade in his quality, and he may not have been involved in the goals for United that day, but he was as solid as ever and gleefully became the fourth Manchester United captain to lift the trophy, and the only one to lift the FA Cup on both sides of the border. Martin, now in his late 20s, led United out Wembley again in 1979, this time behind new manager Dave Sexton for the club's third FA Cup final of the decade against Arsenal. After conceding 2 soft goals in the first half, the match looked dead until 4 minutes from the end. The boys pulled one back through Buchan's now centre-back partner Gordon McQueen, and then equalised with a superb solo effort from Sammy McElroy. But thinking that the game was already done and extra time should decide it, they didn't shackle Arsenal's Liam Brady, who fed his teammate on the left wing to cross it for Alan Sunderland to grab the winner. A bitter blow for Buchan and United. It would be his last trip to Wembley, 2 defeats and 1 victory in 3 visits over 4 years, as well as a shared Charity Shield success against Liverpool in 77. Since he signed back in 72, the skipper played most of the games until an 82-83 season, with the club now under the stewardship of Big Ron Atkinson. In this season, Martin was replaced for the captaincy by Ray Wilkins, and he only played half a dozen matches in what was another glorious season for the club. This time around, he didn't make the FA Cup final side at Wembley. With injuries catching up on him, Martin Buchan left Manchester United for Oldham Athletic on a free in 1983. He'd played 456 matches in 11 years at Old Trafford, with 4 goals to his name. Most of the games he played was as captain, and he earned the respect of the Old Trafford faithful, even if he didn't have it of all his teammates on a personal basis. Most notably, the king of all Cockneys, Gordon Hill, who he'd famously clipped around the ear in one match for not tracking back. The Scotsman spent a couple of seasons at Boundary Park before retiring aged 36 in 1985. He then went on to manage Burnley with little success, resigning from the 4th Division club after just 4 months. Martin Buchan then worked for Puma and afterwards the PFA in Manchester, retiring after 17 years service in 2017. So what do you think of one of our finest defenders and captains? Did you live through the Docks era in the 70s, and if so, what did this sublime Scotsman mean to you? Leave a like on the video and your say in the comments below. If you've not already done so, why not subscribe? I appreciate your continued support.